welcome back on Relationships. Today we're talking about the virtue of honesty and what role this plays in our day-to-day relationships. It may be in your relationships with your spouse, with your family, with your loved ones, with the people you work with strangers, with politicians. This one's a big one and we'll be talking about that, and the consequences of dishonesty. Today we're asking you, and we'd like you to engage with us on our SMS platform 5505. We're asking you, do you think honesty is elusive? Are you an honest person? And what do you think are the consequences of honesty furthermore? Are there times when you feel like being honest might not be the best option for you? Let us know what you think about our topic of discussion on 5505. Now, I'm sure you know the story of the boy who cried wolf. All these fables we were told when we were young, basically the whole idea of that was to tell us about how dishonesty can damage trust in relationships. So we're talking about that today. And Tazza Elkington is here after a long while. Welcome back. It's good to see you.
Thank you very much, Yvonne.
You look so much better. I think the break was fantastic for you.
Thank you. It was. It was great.
Good. Absolutely fantastic to have you today. Honesty, before we even define it, are we honest as a people in Kenya?
I think honesty is a global issue.
Okay.
And I think certain aspects of our culture actually teach us not to really say what we feel. It is a little bit more ingrained in Kenya because I think it's how from the time we're little we're told that we're supposed to say the things that we're expected to say rather than to say what we really think and feel.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, it is an issue. It is an issue, and people say things just because it's easier to say something that isn't true and cover up than to actually say something that's true and take responsibility for it.
Right, yes. Telling the truth is so much harder, is it?
Yes.
Okay.
Wow. Why? I don't get it.
How can we define honesty? What would you say honesty is?
Now, honesty is about saying things as they are. They don't always sound good. They don't always feel good.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not always received well.
That's important. No, they're not. But,
yeah.
For some reason, every time you tell somebody the truth, well, the truth hurts, doesn't it?
Yes. And the thing is that people don't really want to know whether something is really the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
They'd rather have it sugar-coated and adjusted. So you get a percentage of honesty rather than, which is not really honesty.
Okay.
You can't do half a truth.
Yeah.
There isn't half a truth and there isn't half a lie.
It's either the truth,
Yes.
or it's not.
Yes.
Why should we be honest?
Why not?
I like that.
Why not?
Well, the truth does hurt, doesn't it? And sometimes, like you said, telling the truth is telling things as they are. And sometimes it's not always the positive. So why would you want to tell somebody the truth?
Well, if they're asking for it.
Give them what they ask for?
What's the option? If someone says to you, I'm in this situation,
Mm-hmm.
and my partner, my significant other, as an example,
Mm-hmm.
I think he's having an affair.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very miserable, and I don't know what to do, or etc., etc.
Mm-hmm.
Our usual stories.
Okay.
You're going to say, oh, I'm so sorry, I feel really bad for you, poor you. I'm going to turn around and say, why don't you get your act together? If the man is having an affair, do something about it, talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
But how many couples today live in this mirage and under this facade where everyone's doing their own thing, but they're actually not addressing the issue?
Exactly.
And everybody's miserable. What's the point of being miserable? Something isn't working, it needs to be addressed. And people prefer to live in problems than to actually find solutions.
That's true.
And a lot of that is related to the honesty part, because they don't want to actually put things on the table and deal with it.
Okay, and talk openly and honestly about the issues that they're facing. I totally agree with that. And I just want us to go into the spheres of honesty in the different relationships at the workplace and with our loved ones as well. Just a reminder, we're talking about the virtue of honesty and how important it is in our relationships, regardless of where we are. Are we honest as a Kenyan people? Do you often find that every time somebody tells you something, you have to think twice? Is he telling me the truth? Is she telling me the truth? Tell us what you think about this virtue in Kenya and what we can do to foster it more. SMS us on 5505, and also for your chance to engage with Tazim Elkington. Let's talk about that with our spouses, for example. I mean, you know, the biggest joke is, honey, do I look fat in this? And he's forced to never tell you the truth. But that's just the simplest example of it. But how much does dishonesty ruin a relationship, between a husband and wife, for example?
So I'm going to, before I actually respond to that, what I'd like to say is honesty does not begin from the outside. Honesty begins from the inside. All right, so we have to learn to be honest with ourselves before we can be honest with anybody else. So if I'm looking in the mirror, I'm feeling fat, then why am I going to get this poor guy and make him responsible for making me feel otherwise when I know I ought to be doing something about the weight?
Okay.
We've actually talked about this question before as well. It's the most commonest question that gets us into a tizzy, right?
True.
So I think we have to start with honesty here. And am I honest? What kind of person am I? Am I relating to myself, and am I honest with my own state of mind?
Okay.
Right? So once we start taking responsibility of our state of mind, if I'm late 15 minutes, then am I late 15 minutes because I overslept, or because I was not paying attention, or because I didn't care, or because genuinely there was traffic on the road, right? So often I look at people, I look at their body language, I listen to the words, and I know whether they're telling the truth or not.
Yes, it's usually quite clear, isn't it?
Right, so then I turn around and I call them on it, and I say, I don't really believe that. I don't really hear the honesty in what you're saying to me. So I'd rather you just tell me what really happened. And this throws people off completely. So that's an example.
Okay.
Now going into relationships, I think communication is a huge issue. And the reason communication is a huge issue, because honesty is not clearly understood. I had a workshop where I had 30 men in a room, and I asked them to write what that meant and whether they lived it. And when I asked the question, all the hands went up. By the time 3 hours later, when I was done with them and really disentangled what honesty meant, and I asked them, so who's honest in the room? Not a single hand went up.
Wow.
Because the understanding is, I'm honest if I just say things as they are. That's not enough, because it's not just as they are, it's exactly as they are. Which means no sugarcoating. Sugarcoating is dishonest. So when you say, oh, you look so beautiful, and you don't really think so, don't say it. Don't compliment people for the...
For the sake of it.
For the sake of it.
Okay.
So that's sugarcoating. So sugarcoating is dishonesty. Withholding partial information is dishonesty.
So that's lying by omission.
Yes.
Okay.
By choiceful omission.
So this would be in the context of a relationship where man and woman, for example, the woman doesn't tell the man exactly how much she earns. Is that dishonest?
Of course it is. Why wouldn't you? If you're in a relationship with someone, what is there to hide? What are you hiding? If you want to keep your money, you have a separate account. No one's going to stop you, right? Yeah. Well, unless the man stops you, then you have other issues to deal with.
Okay.
But I think if you're earning X amount, what are you hiding? Why do we have this concept that we need to hide a lot of things? And we need to hide them because we really don't trust. And does that mean we trust ourselves?
Okay. All right.
So there's so many layers. There's so many different layers, and within those layers there are filters, and within those filters there are other layers. So we actually have to really sit down and figure out, really, where am I operating from? What are the belief systems imposed on me that make me behave in a certain way that actually depicts clear dishonesty? Like a friend calls and he said, I'm not going to answer that. And then you call back and you say, oh, I didn't hear the phone. Why would you do this? I didn't really want to speak to you at that time because I was doing something else.
But that brings me to the point of honesty, making you, whoever you are, look brush by saying exactly what's on your mind. A lot of people fear that. I guess because we always want people to see us in a certain light. Like you said, you know, I just didn't want to talk to you at the time. And everybody thinks, okay, that's rude. So when does honesty and saying things exactly as they are, as you put it, you know, just go into being plain rude?
If honesty is rudeness, then I don't think that...
Then you want to be rude?
I don't know whether it's rude. I just think, I mean, I have people turning around saying, you know, why did you say that? And I said, because that's what I feel. And if you don't agree with me, please challenge me.
Okay.
Or please let's have a discussion about it. I don't do the I have to be right.
Okay.
So that I make other people wrong. No, it's not about that. It's about this is how I feel. And if you don't agree, please, I am happy to have the discussion. I'm so happy when someone challenges me. But as soon as I mean, I've had spaces like in a workshop where I said, please, it's a one day, can everybody be on time? Because if they miss the first part, they'll miss the essence of what we're going to discuss for the day.
Right.
And so 2 people arrive later and I say, you know, why are you late? In the middle of a group. And people are not used to that. Well, you know, it's better to address things as they happen rather than create all these assumptions, because mostly people create assumptions.
Yes. In the absence of truth.
And then that creates more issues than one can imagine.
Okay.
So I'd rather ask and get an answer or someone get upset, and that's okay, but let's deal with it.
Okay, all right. I'd like us to move into dishonesty at the workplace and how that can, you know, just completely poison the working atmosphere in a moment. But we have a text here, and I don't know whether you agree. Men are liars, especially Kenyan men. This is coming in on our SMS platform 5505. Do you agree? This is something that's said a lot.